In this edition of INN CEO Talks, I'm talking to Garfield MacVeigh of Constantine Metals, a company with a number of projects in Alaska, Arizona, and Idaho. Garfield, welcome.
Thank you, Stuart. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Great to meet you. You got an awful lot of projects underway, but let's start up with your project in Alaska, the Palmer project, which is a copper-zinc site, as I understand.
That's correct. It's a copper-zinc project with a couple of deposits that we've discovered since the company was formed in 2006. And it's actually the Palmer project that hosts these deposits is the project that the company was formed around. And we've successfully made some discoveries there, brought in a serious Japanese smelting company as a partner, and are now advancing that project towards feasibility. So it's been a very successful project for the company.
Takes time, doesn't it? But as you're now moving towards feasibility, what's your timeline looking like?
It's, essentially we're looking at 5 years to get us to feasibility. Right now we have a big program this year, 18 million US, which is a construction program that will prepare ourselves for underground exploration development next year. It will establish some our hydrological system for water discharge, and also put a construction camp in place, as well as some ongoing exploration is planned. So it's a very big year. It's the biggest budget we've had, but it will lead us into the feasibility phase over the next 5 years.
So is it your plan to build out on your own, or are you going to invite a major to participate with you, or maybe even that you would vend into them?
Yeah, it's right now we have a good funding partner. The project is currently 55% DOA, Metals and Mining, and 45% Constantine, but it will be some big funding required over the next few years. So we're looking at the best ways to optimize that for our shareholders.
So that's that project, but it's not your only project in Alaska. Tell us about your Big Nugget gold project as well.
Yeah, Big Nugget is an interesting project, and it kind of came out of the woodwork adjacent to our main Palmer flagship project. It's only 8 kilometers to the east of our main project, and it's some historic showings that were found by a Haynes prospector way back in the 1980s, and in some ways kind of forgotten about. But these showings are right upstream from the historic Porcupine placer operation that's produced more than 80,000 ounces of gold. So up until this time, there really has been no specific source identified for that placer gold, but we feel now that this Big Nugget project is clearly a source for some of the historic Porcupine placer gold. So the placer operation is obviously a great anomaly to direct us and to point out the opportunity that Big Nugget is. Big Nugget also has a lot of geological similarities to one of the big Alaskan gold producers called the AJ mine in Juneau that produced more than 3 million ounces of gold. So very similar environment.
What stage are you at on Big Nugget right now?
Very early. Very early stage, Stuart. It's basically, we through the historic records, we've documented the historic showings, relocated them, and resampled them. Done a soil sampling survey that's identified a really nice target, so it's ready to drill. But it's an early stage project.
So is it your intention to drill this year, or will you wait until we move into 2023?
We would hope to drill this year. However, there's lots of competition in the drilling business this year, as you've probably heard. And so finding drillers, there's machines out there, but drillers are very tough to come by. So we'd like to, but we have to play it by ear.
Well, as I mentioned in my introduction, you also have properties in the United States, down in Arizona. What you've got how do you pronounce that? Bowes property? Bowes property?
Yeah.
Bowes
the
property.
And the Yuma King in Arizona.
Yep.
Yeah, and so, the story with these projects, in a way, in 2019, Constantine spun out previous assets that had accumulated over the years into a very successful company called High Gold. And so since that time, we had a single focus on Palmer, but now we've had the opportunity during the COVID era here to look at and acquire some really good lower 48 projects, basically copper gold projects that all have had bits of historic work on them that really indicate and we really feel have some really great potential. So we've identified these projects. They're basically drill ready with fairly minimal amount of work. And so they're, basically they're teed up for us to, to advance as we move Palmer ahead, and also potentially attract other partners in the mix here as well.
Well, do you anticipate being able to drill down in Arizona this year, or you're facing the same challenges about getting drills in the ground?
In some way, we're facing the same challenges. However, the Arizona projects, they're right now at this time of year, it gets pretty hot there, and the more seasonal time to do the work there is starting in October. So that would be our approach, is to get the projects ready to fire up in October.
So Arizona, and you also have a project in Idaho. Tell us about that.
That's correct.
Yeah,
we have a project in Idaho that's, interesting enough, it's a VMS plus or minus maybe a copper porphyry environment, very similar in age to Palmer. Early Jurassic to late Triassic age. So it's a project that we have a real high comfort level in. There looks like a very big zoned VMS system with some copper porphyry signatures sitting there. So we're doing some compilation work right there right now to also put some drill permits in place there. And it would be nice to be able to do some of that drilling a little later in the year.
So the most important messages to those who are looking at the company is that you've got a great track record, you've got some good projects, and you're moving forward with some and getting ready to move to next stage on others. What else do you want investors to take away from this interview?
I think that is really the important message. I think we're a group that's been we've made real greenfields discoveries at Palmer and built resources there that look like they have a good chance to be a mine. And at the same time, we've been consistently able to identify other opportunities that have also led to value for our shareholders. So I think that's really the key message. And I think it's a great time to have more than one project as well. Palmer's heading down that way to feasibility. At the same time, we've got some really interesting projects that should add some zest to the company in the near future.
So when can we look for next results and then to have you back on the show? 3-4 months?
Yeah, I would think that would be the case. We're firing up our Alaskan project right now. It's been seasonal up until now, but once we get underground next year, then we'll have year-round results. But this is a seasonal aspect to Palmer, and so we're just kicking this 18 million US project into gear right now, and getting everything. Getting our camps opened up and getting ready to fire on all cylinders there.
Well, it'll be hopefully a great year ahead of you. It looks like we've got some of the challenges that COVID posed behind us, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you again in a couple of months. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Stuart.